let's see if a hacker can get into this Linux server. So what hackers typically do is they scan the server for anything that might be exposed to the internet. For example, if they were doing it manually, which they don't, they could try for /backup, see if there's anything there, /admin, /panel, any kind of thing you can think. They'll try to find it. And of course, they do that automatically. So let's go to the hacker's computer. You'll see it's completely in red in this terminal. And they might try to do this with a word list, right? So we have a word list here. So they might try /admin, /administrator, admin panel, admin-area, admin login. And in that way, they try to find anything that exists on your Linux web server. So it doesn't even have to be something that you linked in a website. They'll just try to find anything that exists. And this is not limited to folders, but it can also be archives, zip archive, star archive, or anything else. So of course, they do that automatically. So they can use a tool like GoBuster or DearBuster, where they scan the target web server, and they do that with the word lists. So in this case, the word list is quite small, but typically word lists can have thousands or tens of thousands of words, where they try to find anything that possibly exists in the server. They have these word lists in many languages, so it's not limited to English, but they have them in many different languages. So we use the GoBuster program. And then we use a directory. We scan for directories using that word list on the target website and with the target word list. So they then try to scan it, and they find different things here on the server. So we find /admin, dashboard, backups, all kind of things that as a user or a visitor of the website, you wouldn't directly see. But a hacker can find those things. So you see many different directories. They might then try to go into the admin folder and try to log in. Or there might be files exposed, for example, backup files. It could be there's a backup file exposed. In this case, there is. You'll see the /backup tar.gz. So they might then try to download it. For example, curl. They can use the curl program to download that file from the server. So that's the backup tar.gz, and they then save it. You see, they downloaded the file here with curl. That's that file that was exposed here. You'll see this GoBuster results, all the files and folders. And you'll find this backup file. So now if we extract that backup file, you'll see it contains, in this case, secrets.txt. So backup might contain secrets or other things, database dumps, depending on the backup of the server. But of course, there might be secrets in there, passwords or other things. In this case, the hacker now found the database password and the admin password that they can then use to log into your database or your admin panel. Now, depending on the backup, there might be serious things exposed or not, but also keep in mind it's not limited to files. They might in this way find any administration panel if it is exposed, and then try to get into your administration panels. And then they might take a look at logs or uploads and try to upload something to gain further access into your server. It is not limited to one way. They'll try in different ways to get into your Linux server. And so the first thing to do to secure your server is to reduce your exposure. You'll see all these files and folders exposed on your web server. You might want to try to limit that and only expose what you really need to expose and remove anything else, like no backups in the web server. Don't put them in there because hackers will find them. You might wonder, okay, do you need the admin panel in the web server or maybe somewhere else? Files and uploads, the same thing. So you want to limit the exposure, the things you show or that are accessible on the web server as much as possible, because those are ways hackers can get access into your Linux web server. Files and folders that are shown on the internet are typically stored in the folder var www/html. So that's var www.html. Now this of course depends on your server configuration, how is your Apache server or Nginx server application configured. But typically that's where they are stored, var www.html. And you'll see if I list the files and folders, we have here the backup file, so that shouldn't be there. Make sure to move that out of the folder of your web server or simply delete them. So in this case, we'll just delete it, right? And to delete it, you would need to be administrator. So we'll see if I list them again, the file is no longer visible. So this finding the password through this backup file no longer works. Now, typically users, they back up all kind of things, and it can include passwords, and all kind of folders might be exposed, like the admin panel or a dashboard panel, and different things, even things like uploads. Hackers might try to scan the uploads folder and see what is uploaded. Is there any important files that they can further use to get into your Linux server? Now, this scanning is not the only way they get into your server. If they might find interesting things, but there are other things as well. So you have to keep in mind, this is just one of the possible attack vectors where how a hacker can get into your Linux server. So you want to make sure this folder, this is where a lot of hackers can find information. You can also find things in logs. So if you go to var log, and you'll find whether using Apache or Nginx. So depending on which program you use to serve these web pages, in this case it's Nginx, we have this access log file. You could take a look at this access log file and see what is happening. So we can say access.log and then take a look. So with the cat command, we look in the log file and see, is there anything going on in there? So we can scroll down and you'll see, okay, someone is trying to open a lot of these folders, right? So admin panel, cPanel, and so on. And in this case, it's authenticating as GoBuster. Now in the real world, it is not always so obvious that someone is running GoBuster. They might use a different tool, but the same principle, trying to find any files and folders. So you'll see someone was here trying to open all kind of files and folders using this GoBuster tool. So obviously this web server was under attack, as you've seen in the beginning of the video of the other guy who was attacking this web server. So you'll see they try to download or open all kind of files and folders. So there are always traces when an attack happens. So you want to make sure to both monitor any kind of traces and also make sure that nothing vulnerable, nothing that shouldn't be exposed is exposed. For example, in that folder var www.html, that's typically showing all the data that a hacker or any user can access on your web server. And you want to make sure backups are not there, for example. But keep in mind, even if you remove all the backups, they might try to access an admin panel and try to brute force different passwords. There are many ways. So you want to make sure you limit the attack surface.